All right, hi class. Today is day 164. We're going to be reading chapters 42 through 48. As always, the video is going to be linked right here as well, so if you need to make it bigger, feel free to do so. I already opened up the chapter, so I clicked that link and opened it up, so now I'll just write my name down. While this is loading, I'm just going to go through the vocabulary. So our new vocabulary is decisively, so being able to make decisions quickly, and babushkas. Those are scarves that women wear. Typically, babushkas were worn by Polish and Russian women, older women years ago, and they would wear a headscarf tied around their head, and they called that a babushka. So you'll see both of those words in our text today. So, with that being said, today we're going to be working on cause and effect questions. So, remember the cause, what happens, the result is called the effect, and the cause is the reason why it happens. So, the cause will always happen first. So, that's what happens, and then the effect is the result of that. So, for instance, if we got 3 feet of snow, the effect, that's the cause, that's what happened, 3 feet of snow. The effect would then be that we would have a snow day. Another cause and effect relationship is you study for your test, cause, that's what you did. The result of that is that you get a good score on your assignment or on your test. Okay? So, first, we have to figure out, is the question asking us for the reason? Is it asking us for the cause? Or is it asking us for the result? Is it asking us for the effect? Then you go back to the story and just highlight it like this. In this blue, highlight the event that the question's asking you about so that you know where it is. And then choose the answer that has evidence to support it. So we'll practice some of these today. Like I said, I'll be practicing these in the videos with you. And then you'll have an example to do on your own after that. But you do need to be listening to the video carefully so that you are getting the answers correct. All right. So today we're going to start reading where we left off. So we're at breakfast. So remember, we're listening to Via's point of view now. So some of these events are going to be the same events that you've already heard about, but now instead of hearing August's thoughts about the event, you're going to hear Via's thoughts about the events, okay? So you might be like, wait, there already was Halloween. Yeah, there was already Halloween, but now we're hearing Via's side of it. So Via is our narrator. August's sister is our narrator now, okay? Breakfast. Can you pick me up from school today? I said the next morning, smearing some cream cheese on my bagel. Mom was making August lunch, American cheese on a whole wheat bread, soft enough for Augie to eat. While August sat eating oatmeal at the table, Dad was getting ready to go to work. Now that I was in high school, the new school routine was going to be that Dad and I would take the subway together in the morning, which meant his having to leave 15 minutes earlier than usual. Then I'd get off at the stop and he'd keep going. And Mom was going to pick me up after school in the car. I was going to call Miranda's mother to see if she could drive you home again, Mom answered. No, no, Mom, I said quickly. You pick me up or I'll just take the subway. I don't know why you want to take the subway by yourself yet, she answered. Mom, I'm 15. Everybody my age takes the subway by themselves. She can take the subway home, said Dad from another room, adjusting his tie as he stepped in the kitchen. Why can't Miranda's mother just pick her up again? Mom argued with him. She's old enough to take the subway by herself, Dad insisted. Mom looked at both of us. Is something going on? She didn't address her question to either one of us in particular. You would know if you had come back to check on me, I said spitefully, like you said you would. Oh, God, Via, said Mom, remembering now that she had completely ditched me last night. She put down the knife that she was using to cut Augie's grapes in half, still a choking hazard for him because of the size of his palate. I'm so sorry. I fell asleep in Augie's room. By the time I woke up, I know, I nodded indifferently. Mom came over, put her hands on my cheeks, and lifted my face to look at her. I'm really, really sorry, she whispered. I could tell she was. It's okay, I said. Via, Mom, it's fine. This time I meant it. She looked so genuinely sorry. I just wanted to let her off the hook. She kissed and hugged me, and then returning to the grapes. So, is something going on with Miranda? She asked. Just that she's acting like a complete jerk, I said. Miranda's not a jerk, Augie quickly chimed in. She can be, I yelled. Believe me. Okay then, I'll pick you up, no problem, Mom said decisively, sweeping the half grapes into the snack bag with the side of her knife. That was the plan all along anyway. I'll pick Augie up from school in the car, and then we'll pick you up. We'll probably get there about a quarter to four. No, I said firmly, before she'd even finished. Isabel, she can take the subway, Dad said impatiently. She's a big girl now. She's reading War and Peace, for crying out loud. What does War and Peace have to do with anything? Answered Mom, clearly annoyed. It means you don't have to pick her up in the car like she's a little girl, he said sternly. Via, are you ready? Get your bags and let's go. I'm ready, I said, pulling my backpack. Bye, Mom. Bye, Augie. I kissed them both quickly on the head and headed toward the door. Do you even have a Metro card? Mom said after me. Of course she has a Metro card, Dad answered, fully exasperated. Yeesh, Mama. Stop worrying so much. Bye, he said, kissing her on the cheek. Bye, big boy, he said to August, kissing him on the top of his head. I'm proud of you. Have a good day. Bye, Daddy. You too. Dad and I jogged down the stooped stairs and headed down the block. Call me after school before you get on the subway, Mom yelled at me from the window. I didn't even turn around, but I waved my hand so she knew that I'd heard her. Dad did a turnaround, walking backward a few steps. War and Peace, Isabel, he called out, smiling as he pointed at me. War and Peace. Genetics 101. Both sides of Dad's family were Jews from Russia and Poland. Papa's grandparents fled the pogroms and ended up in NYC at the turn of the century. Tata's parents fled the Nazis and ended up in Argentina in the 40s. Papa and Tata met at a dance on the Lower East Side while she was in town visiting a cousin. They got married, moved to Bayside, and they had Dad and Uncle Ben. Remember, Tata and Papa are Grandma and Grandpa. So her grandma and grandpa are the two people that she's talking about there. Mom's side of the family is from Brazil. Except for her mother, my beautiful grands, and her dad Augusto, who died before I was born. The rest of Mom's family, all of her glamorous aunts, uncles, and cousins, still live in Alto Leblon, a ritzy suburb south of Rio. Grands and Augusto moved to Boston in the early 60s and had Mom and Aunt Kate, who's married to Uncle Porter. Mom and Dad met at Brown University and have been together ever since. Isabel and Nate, like two peas in a pod. They moved from New York right after college, had me a few years later, and then moved to a brick townhouse in North River Heights, the hippie stroller capital of the upper Manhattan, when I was about 1 year old. Not one person in this exotic mix of my family gene pool has ever shown an obvious signs of having what August has. I've pored over grainy sepia pictures and long dead relatives in babushkas, black and white snapshots and distant cousins in crisp white linen suits, soldiers in uniform, ladies with beehive hairdos, Polaroids of bell-bottomed teenagers and long-haired hippies. And not once have I been able to detect even the slightest trace of August's face in their faces. Not a one. But after August was born, my parents underwent genetic counseling. They were told that August had what seemed to be a previously unknown type of mandibulofacial dysostosis, caused by an autosomal recessive mutation of the TCOF1 gene, which is located on chromosome 5, complicated by a hemifacial microsomia of characteristic of OAV spectrum. Sometimes these mutations occur during pregnancy. Sometimes they're inherited from one parent carrying down the dominant gene. Sometimes they're caused by an interaction of many genes, possibly a combination of environmental factors. This is called multifactorial inheritance. In August's case, the doctors were able to identify one of the single nucleotide deletion mutations that made war on his face. The weird thing is, though, you'd never know it from looking at them. Both my parents carry that mutant gene, and I carry it too. So I want to quickly talk about that. That was a lot of words. So what they're saying here is that the gene, which is something that we all have a bunch of different genes in our body, and that's what makes us look the way that we do. So August had one gene that caused his face to look the way it looks. And his parents and his sister carry it too, but it didn't form the same look on their faces. So they don't have the same facial issues that August does. Just August has that. And it's just formed by that one gene. The Punnett square. If I have children, there's a 1 in 2 chance that I will pass on the defective gene to them. That doesn't mean that they'll look like August, but they'll carry the gene that got double dosed in August and help make him the way he is. If I marry someone who has the same defective gene, there's a 1 in 2 chance that our kids could carry the same gene and look totally normal, a 1 in 4 chance that our kids will not carry the gene at all, and a 1 in 4 chance that our kids will look like August. If August has children with someone who doesn't have a trace of the gene, there's a 100% probability that their kids will inherit the gene, but a 0% chance that their kids will have a double dose of it, like August, which means they'll carry the gene no matter what, but they could look totally normal. If you marry someone that has the gene, their kids will have the same odds as my kids. So it's basically what they're trying to tell you here is that what August has is very rare. So it's not common for kids to have that gene. It's a very rare thing for that to happen. All right, off of the science. Out with the old. Miranda and Ella blasted off. They attached themselves to a new crowd destined for high school glory. After a week of painful lunches where all they would do was talk about people that didn't interest me, I decided to make a clean break. They asked no questions. I told no lies. We went our separate ways. I didn't even mind after a while. I stopped going to lunch for about a week, though, to make the transition easier, to avoid the fake, "Oh, shoot, there's no room for you at the table, Olivia." It was just easier to go to the library and read. I finished War and Peace in October. It was amazing. People think it's such a hard read, but it's really just a soap opera with lots of characters, people falling in love, fighting for love, dying for love. I want to be in love like that someday. I want my husband to love me the way that Prince Andrea loved Natasha. I ended up hanging out with a girl named Eleanor, who I'd known from my days at PS 22, though we'd gone to different middle schools. Eleanor had always been a really smart girl. A little bit of a crybaby back then, but nice. I'd never realized how funny she was. Not laugh out loud daddy funny, but full of quick quips. And she never knew how lighthearted I could be. Eleanor, I guess, had always been under the impression that I was very serious. And as it turns out, she never liked Miranda and Ella. She thought they were stuck up. I gained entry through Eleanor to the smart kids table at lunch. It was a larger group than I had been accustomed to hanging out with, and a more diverse crowd. It included Eleanor's boyfriend, Kevin, who would definitely become class president someday, a few techie guys, girls like Eleanor who were members of the yearbook committee and debate club, and a quiet guy named Justin, who had small round glasses and played the violin, and who I had an instant crush on. When I'd seen Miranda and Ella, who were now hanging out with this super popular set, we'd say, "Hey, what's up?" and move on. Occasionally, Miranda would ask me how August was doing, and then say, "Tell him I say hello." This I never did, not to spite Miranda, but because August was in his own world these days. There were times at home when we never crossed paths. Pause for a minute. So, thinking of cause and effect, what caused Via to stop hanging out with Miranda and Ella? So if we think about the cause, we think about what was the reason, because the effect is that she doesn't hang out with them anymore. So we're thinking about why does she not hang out with them anymore? And it looks like it's right here. They attached themselves to a new crowd destined for high school glory. And that at lunch, they didn't talk about anybody that they interested her. So the cause was like they did not have the same interests. The effect is that they're no longer friends at school. All right, let's keep going. October 31st. Grans had died the night before Halloween. Since then, even though it's been 4 years, this has always been a sad time of year for me. For Mom, too, though she doesn't always say it. Instead, she immerses herself into getting August's costume ready, since we all know Halloween is his favorite time of year. And this year was no different. August really wanted to be the Star Wars character called Boba Fett. So Mom looked for a Boba Fett costume in August's size, which strangely enough was out of stock everywhere. She went to every online store and found a few on eBay that were going for an outrageous amount, and finally ended up buying a Jango Fett costume that she then converted into a Boba Fett costume by painting it green. I would say, in all, she must have spent 2 weeks working on this stupid costume. And no, I won't mention the fact that Mom has never made any of my costumes because it really has no bearing on anything at all. The morning of Halloween, I woke up thinking about Grans, which made me really sad and weepy. Dad kept telling me to hurry up and get dressed, which just stressed me out even more, and suddenly I started crying. I just wanted to stay home. So Dad took August to school that morning, and Mom and I could stay home, and the two of us cried together for a while. One thing I knew for sure, however much I missed Grans, Mom must have missed her more. All those times August was clinging to life after surgery, all those rushed trips to the ER, Grans had always been there for Mom. It felt good to cry with Mom. Both of us at some point, Mom had the idea of us watching The Ghost and Mrs. Muir together, which was one of our all-time favorite black and white movies. I agreed that this was a great idea. I think I probably would have used this weeping session as an opportunity to tell Mom everything that was going on at school with Miranda and Ella. But just as we were sitting down in front of the DVD player, the phone rang. It was the nurse from August's school calling to tell Mom that August had a stomach ache and should be picked up. So much for the old movies and mother-daughter bonding. Mom picked August up. The moment that he came home, he went straight to the bathroom and threw up. Then he went to his bed and pulled the covers over his head. Mom took his temperature and brought him some hot tea and assumed the August mom role again. Via's mom, who had come out for a little while, was put away. I understood, though. August was in bad shape. Neither one of us asked him why he had worn his Bleeding Scream costume to school instead of his Boba Fett costume Mom had made for him. If it annoyed Mom to see the costume that she had worked on for 2 weeks tossed on the floor unused, she didn't show it. Pause there. So, we are going to move on. We are going to move on to our cause and effect question here. So the first thing we need to do is read the question and figure out, is this question asking us to figure out the cause or the effect, the reason or the result? So it says, what caused Mom and Via to stay home from school? So we're looking for the cause, which is the reason. So we're looking for why did Via and Mom stay home after school? Via and Mom stay home from school. So, did they stay home because August was sick and Via needs to take care of him? No, because she was already staying home by the time August came home sick. So that's not why she stayed home. Did Via have the flu? No, it talks about how she's feeling sad but not feeling sick. Via doesn't want to go to school because of Miranda? Maybe, but the reason, let's keep going. Via is sad because it's the anniversary of her grand's death. So I remember it saying up there, Grans had died the night before Halloween. Since then, even though it's been 4 years, this has always been a sad time of year for me. So that could definitely be why she stayed home from school. There's another sentence that's telling me that too, though, if I look right down here. The morning of Halloween, I woke up thinking about Grans, which made me all sad and weepy. Dad kept telling me to hurry up and get dressed, which just stressed me out more, and suddenly I started crying, and I just wanted to stay home. So that shows me she stayed home because she's sad about her grandmother. So I would choose D for my answer there. Now I want to think of what evidence proves that she's sad about her grandmother. I understood, though, August was in bad shape. That doesn't have anything to do with her grandma. Mom picked up August. The moment he came home, he went straight to the bathroom and threw up. That tells me August is sick. That doesn't tell me anything about Via being sad about her grandmother. The morning of Halloween, I woke up thinking of Grans, which made me really sad and weepy. That definitely proves that she's sad about her grandmother's death. So that could be our answer. Let's read the last one, though. I think I probably would have used this weeping session as an opportunity to tell Mom everything that was going on with Miranda and Ella. And no, that doesn't tell us about Grandma. So I would definitely say these two are our answers. Via is sad because it's the anniversary of her grandmother's death, and the evidence to support that is the morning of Halloween, I woke up thinking about Grans, which made me really sad and weepy. So then I press next, and we'll let it get to the next one. So we're going to go back to our story and keep reading. Trick or treat. August said he wasn't feeling well enough to go trick-or-treating later in the afternoon, which was sad for him because I know how much he loved trick-or-treating, especially after it got dark outside. Even though I was well beyond trick-or-treating stage myself, I usually threw on a mask or something else to accompany him up and down the blocks, watching him knocking on people's doors, giddy with excitement. I knew it was the one night of the year when he could truly be like every other kid. No one knew he was different under the mask. To August, that must have felt absolutely amazing. At 7 o'clock that night, I knocked on his door. "Hey," I said. "Hey," he said back. He wasn't using his PlayStation or reading a comic book. He was just lying in his bed, looking at the ceiling. Daisy, as always, was next to him on the bed, her head draped over his legs. The bleeding scream costume was crumpled up on the floor next to the Boba Fett costume. "How's your stomach?" I said, sitting next to him on the bed. I'm still nauseous." "You sure you're not up for Halloween parade?" "Positive." This surprised me. Usually August was such a trooper about his medical issues. Whether it was a skateboarding a few days after a surgery or sipping food through a straw when his mouth was practically bolted shut. This was a kid who's gotten more shots, taken more medicines, put up with more procedures by the age of 10 than most people would have to put up with in 10 lifetimes. And he was sublined by a little nausea? "You want to tell me what's up?" I said, sounding a bit like Mom. "No." "Is it school?" "Yes." "Teachers? Schoolwork? Friends?" He didn't answer. "Did someone say something?" I asked. Remember, she's pretty protective. "People always say something," he answered bitterly. I could tell he was close to crying. "Tell me what happened," I said. Annie told me what happened. He had overheard some very mean things some boys were saying about him. He didn't care about what the other boys had said. He expected that. But he was hurt by one of the boys that was his best friend, Jack Will. I remembered his mentioning Jack a couple of times over the past few months. I remembered Mom and Dad saying that he seemed like a really nice kid, saying they were glad that August had already made a friend like that. "Sometimes kids are stupid," I said softly, holding his hand. I'm sure he didn't mean it. "Then why would he say it? He's been pretending to be my friend all along. Tushman probably bribed him with good grades or something. I bet he was like, 'Hey, Jack, if you make friends with the freak, you don't have to take any tests this year.' You know that's not true. And don't call yourself a freak. Whatever. I wish I'd never gone to school in the first place." "But I thought you were liking it." "I hate it," he said, angry all of a sudden, punching his pillows. "I hate it, I hate it, I hate it." He was shrieking at the top of his lungs. I didn't say anything. I didn't know what to say. He was hurt. He was mad. I let him have a few more minutes of fury. Daisy started licking the tears off his face. "Come on, Augie," I said, patting his back gently. "Why don't you put on your Jango Fett costume and—" "It's Boba Fett costume. Why does everyone mix that up?" "Boba Fett costume," I said, trying to stay calm. I put my arm around his shoulders. "Let's just go to the parade, okay? If I go to the parade, Mom will think I'm feeling better and make me go to school tomorrow." "Mom would never make you go to school," I answered. "Come on, Augie. Let's just go. It'll be fun, I promise. And I'll let you have all my candy." He didn't argue. He got out of bed and slowly started pulling on his Boba Fett costume. I helped him adjust and tighten the belt. And by the time he put on his helmet on, I could tell he was feeling better. Time to think. August played up the stomachache the next few days so that he wouldn't have to go back to school. I admit, I felt a little bad for Mom, who was genuinely concerned that he had a stomach bug. But I promised August I wouldn't tell her the incident at school. By Sunday, he was still determined not to go back to school. "What are you planning on telling Mom and Dad?" I asked him when he told me this. "They said I could quit whenever I wanted to," he said, this while he was still focused on the comic book he was reading. "But you've never been the kind of kid who quits things," I said truthfully. "That's not like you." "I'm quitting." "You're going to have to tell Mom and Dad why," I pointed out, pulling the comic book out of his hand so he'd have to look up at me while we were talking. "Then Mom will call the school and everyone will know about it." "Will Jack get in trouble?" "I would think so." "Good." I have to admit, August was surprising me more and more. He pulled another comic book off a shelf and started leafing through it. "Augie," I said, "are you really going to let a couple of stupid kids keep you from going back to school? I know you've been enjoying it. Don't give them that power over you. Don't give them that satisfaction." "They have no idea I even heard them," he explained. "No, I know, but Via, it's okay. I know what I'm doing. I've made up my mind." "But this is crazy, Augie," I said empathetically, pulling the new comic book away from him too. "You have to go back to school. Everyone hates school sometimes. I hate school sometimes. I hate my friends sometimes. That's just life." "Augie, you want to be treated normally, right? This is normal. We all have to go to school sometimes despite the fact that we have bad days, okay? Do people go out of their way to avoid touching you, Via? He answered, which left me momentarily without an answer. Yeah, right. That's what I thought. So don't compare your bad days at school to mine, okay? Okay, that's fair, I said. But it's not a contest whose days suck the most, Augie. The point is, we all have to put up with the bad days. Now, unless you want to be treated like a baby the rest of your life, or like a kid with special needs, you just have to suck it up and go. He didn't say anything, but I think that last bit was getting to him. You don't have to say a word to those kids, I continued. August, actually, it's so cool for you to know what they said and they don't know you know what they said, you know? What the heck? You know what I mean. You don't have to talk to them ever again if you don't want to. And they'll never know why. See? Or you can pretend to be friends with them, but deep down inside, you know that you're not. Is that how you are with Miranda? He asked. No, I answered quickly, defensively. I never faked my feelings with Miranda. So why are you saying that I should? I'm not. I'm just saying that you shouldn't let those little jerks get to you, that's all. Like Miranda got to you. Why do you keep bringing Miranda up? I yelled impatiently. I'm trying to talk to you about you and your friends. Please keep mine out of it. You're not even friends with her anymore. What does that have to do with what we were talking about? The way August was looking at me reminded me of a doll's face. He was just staring at me blankly with his half-closed doll eyes. She called me the other day, he said finally. What? I was stunned. And you didn't tell me? She wasn't calling you, he answered, pulling both comic books out of my hands. She was calling me, just to say hi, to see how I was doing. She didn't even know I was going to a real school now. Can't believe you hadn't even told her. She said that the two of you don't hang out as much anymore, but she wanted me to know that she'd always loved me like a big sister. Double stunned, stung, flabbergasted. No words formed in my mouth. Why didn't you tell me? I said finally. I don't know, he shrugged, opening the first comic book again. Well, I'm telling Mom and Dad about Jack Will if you stop going to school, I answered. Tushman will probably call you into school and make Jack and those other kids apologize to you in front of everyone. And everyone will treat you like the kid that you should be going to a school for kids with special needs. Is that what you want? Because that's what's going to happen. Otherwise, just go back to school and act like nothing happened. Or, if you want to confront Jack about it, fine. But either way, if you... Fine, he interrupted. What? Fine. I'll go, he yelled, not loudly. Just stop talking about it already. Can I please read my book now? Fine, I answered. Turning to leave his room, I thought of something. Did Miranda say anything else about me? He looked up from his comic book and looked right into my eyes. She said to tell you that she misses you. Quote, unquote. I nodded. Thanks, I said casually, too embarrassed to let him see how happy that made me feel. All right, so we learned a lot about Via and how she's feeling about her friends. We also learned a lot more about August because now we have the point of view from the conversation that he had with Via. So for this next section, I want you to reread this, and we're going to go through these two questions, and then you'll have one more question after that. So part A, what was the effect of Augie overhearing Jack Will talk about him? So we know the cause was he overheard Jack Will talking about him. So we're looking for what's the result? What happened next? He hears Jack Will talking about him. Now what happens next? Does he think Jack Will is pretending to be his friend? Does he think Jack Will is a nice friend? He is going to go to Via's school now, or he is going to wear his costume to school every day. So we're going to go back in the text and see. So tell me what happened. And he told me what happened. He had overheard some very mean things about some boys who were talking about him. He didn't care what the other boys said. He expected that. But he was hurt by one of the boys, his best friend, Jack Will. I remembered his mentioning Jack a couple of times over the past few months. I remembered Mom and Dad saying that he seemed like a really nice kid, and they were glad August, had already met a friend like that. Sometimes kids are stupid, I said, holding his hand. I'm sure he didn't mean it. Then why would he say it? He's been pretending to be my friend all along. Mr. Tushman probably bribed him with good grades or something. I bet he was like, hey, Jack, if you make friends with that freak, you don't have to take tests anymore. So our answer is right in that part. So basically, after he hears Jack Will talk about him, what does he think? You have to look back in the story and choose. Then make sure your evidence supports your answer. Okay? Then you'll press next. And then your last question is down here. So you have another story part to read, and it's just one question. And there's only 3 possible answers. What causes August to go back to school? So you're looking for what's the reason why he decides to go back to school. So that one you're looking for the cause, because the effect is that he goes back to school. All right. Make sure you watch this video carefully. If you need to go back to parts of the video to help you with your questions, okay? And tomorrow we have a short chapter or a short reading tomorrow. So I hope you guys are enjoying the book, and we will get back to reading tomorrow. Bye.